you ever heard the sound of a woman crying when no one was around? What if that sound wasn't from a living person at all? All across Latin America, there's one name that strikes fear into the hearts of children and adults alike. La Llorona, the woman in white, the weeping mother. Her story has been told for centuries, whispered between families, passed down from grandparents to grandchildren. But what if I told you? Some people still hear her today. Once upon a time, in a small village, there lived a woman named Maria. She was known far and wide for her beauty. Every man in the region admired her. But Maria had high standards. She refused to settle for anything less than the perfect man. Eventually, she found him. A charming traveler, tall, handsome, and wealthy. They married quickly. The village celebrated. Soon, they had 2 beautiful children. But then, the man changed. He left home for long periods. He grew cold. Some say he took a mistress. Others say he only showed affection to the children and ignored Maria entirely. One evening, Maria saw her husband riding through town with another woman. She snapped. Blinded by rage and heartbreak, she dragged her children to the river, and drowned them. Moments later, as the reality of her actions hit her, she walked into the same river and let the water take her too. But Maria didn't find peace. Instead, she returned not as a mother, but as a spirit cursed to wander the earth, forever crying out for her lost children, Miss Hijos. Her cries echoed through the night. Some say she's searching. Others believe she's punishing. La Llorona doesn't just cry. She haunts, and the scariest part, her cries play tricks on the ears. It's believed that if you hear her crying far away, she's actually very close. But if you hear her crying close by, then you're safe. Because she's far now, her voice can blend into the wind, slips between the leaves, hides behind rustling trees. Some say she appears in a long white dress, her face hidden beneath a veil or covered in shadows. Others say she floats, just above the ground, her feet never touching the earth again. And when she comes too close, you might feel a sudden chill, or hear your name whispered from behind, even when you're alone. Case 1, Orizaba, Mexicoan, a small alleyway in Orizaba. A mother and her 2 daughters waited for the eldest to return from a party. The clock passed midnight. The night was unusually silent, till it wasn't, as they opened the front door to step out. A blood-curdling cry tore through the quiet. A Miss Hijos. The voice was so sorrowful, so close it didn't sound human. The mother immediately slammed the door shut. But something or someone was already at the door. The doorknob twisted. Then came the pounding. The sound of a woman sobbing on the other side, but when they looked through the window, there was no one there. They hid under the bed, hands over their mouths, praying it would stop. The voice eventually faded, but the fear never did. They say La Llorona visits those who forget what she lost. Case to Guerrero, Mexico. After their grandmother's passing, a family returned to her small village to mourn. That night, they chose to sleep in hammocks outside, hoping for a breeze in the sweltering heat. But sleep never came. A cousin was the first to hear it, a faint weeping carried by the wind. He tried to ignore it until it moved. Closer, closer. Too close. By morning, he was shaking, burning with fever, as if the cry had crawled into his bones. Later that day, other relatives admitted they heard the same thing. All at the same time, all from the same direction. They believe La Llorona passed through, searching, and someone had answered. Case 3, Lizzie Storiette. Was 4:20 in the morning when La Llorona went. Lizzie's parents were jolted awake by a woman's scream, not distant, not muffled, but loud. Right outside their window, panicked. Her father rushed to the door, but no one was there. Hours later, Lizzie asked her dad why he walked into her room in the middle of the night. He looked at her, pale, confused.
Never.
Went into your room, he said. That same week, a call came from far away. A distant family member had passed. Her mother whispered what no one dared to say aloud. It was her. She came to warn us. In Cordoba, a man working the graveyard shift stepped outside for a smoke. He started recording when he heard what sounded like crying in the wind. But this wasn't wind. Dogs across. The neighborhood began barking, then howling. The cry became sharper, less like sadness, more like agony. He caught everything on video. You can hear her voice weave through the air like smoke never fully present, but impossible to ignore. Another video from Puebla showed the same pattern. Dogs began to bark. Lights flickered, then a piercing wail rolled across the street. A white figure appeared on camera gliding, not walking. First in the distance, then, suddenly, inches away from the lens. Some say it was edited. Others say no one could fake that scream, and if it was real, she's still out there, watching, waiting. Though La Llorona comes from Latin America, her sorrow knows no borders. A woman from India once shared what happened to her mother. Shortly after giving birth, her mother began hearing faint crying in the fields, soft, human-like. Always after midnight, each night it grew louder. And each time, it stopped near the old train tracks. That was where a young mother had ended her life not long ago, leaving behind her children. Strangely, only women who had recently given birth could hear the cries. They said the spirit wept not just for her children, but for the mother she could no longer be. A ritual was held, the cries stopped, but the feeling never did, because some grief never crosses over. Her legend is old, her voice is older, but every time someone tells her story, she listens. So if you hear weeping outside your window, don't open the curtains, don't step outside, and never answer the call. Because once she finds you, she never forgets your voice. She doesn't knock twice, she just waits and weeps. Have you ever heard a cry that made your blood run cold? Or seen something that couldn't be explained? Tell your story in the comments. You're not alone, and remember, some legends don't just survive time, they wait for it. And sometimes, they wait for you.